For the week of October 31st, 2021, this is Congress News. In this week's Congress News, the CWBN Global Intelligence Unit continues tracking ongoing crises in the earth.
We also continue our look at the approaching Revelation series and our movement to knock number 3.
In world news headlines, global supply chain crisis. We're living in shipping Armageddon. These were the words of Uber freight boss in describing the state of affairs in the shipping industry, which is key to the supply chain which connects manufacturers and consumers. The industry continues to be crippled by delays, port traffic jams, and blockages created by the COVID effect. After an initial slowdown when the pandemic hit, stimulus buying has now increased demand for goods, but COVID has left the supply chain without adequate dock workers and truckers to move them to market. The kink in the network is creating a global traffic jam as the situation careens towards global gridlock.
India is facing a looming power crisis as coal stocks fall to unprecedented low levels. States are now warning of power blackouts. It is reported that 8 in 10 thermal power stations are within days of running out of coal. Nearly 80% of India's coal-dependent plants are in critical or supercritical stage, meaning stocks can run out in 5 days or less. Some states have experienced power cuts of up to 14 hours long. The government has asked power producers to import coal to make up for the shortfall, but soaring coal prices globally have made this solution a financial challenge.
Shifting balance of power. We have no competing fighting chance against China in 15 to 20 years. These were the words of Nicholas Chalon, recently resigned Chief Software Officer in the U.S. Department of Defense, expressing his strong dissatisfaction with the slow pace of technological transformation within the U.S. military relative to China. The comments follow a report from a congressionally mandated U.S. National Security Commission earlier this year that China could surpass the U.S. as the world's artificial intelligence superpower within the next decade.
For more reports and updates from the CWBN Intelligence Unit, visit cwbn.news/GIU.
Dr. Woodruff continued to release resources to our Congress, extracting powerful principles from the book of Revelation.
The series has created a new wave of faith, empowerment, and joy across our ranks as we march towards knock number 3.
It is said time and time again, nothing moves in the Congress without the saints. We now listen to the sound of the saints on the impact of approaching Revelation Part 4.
The teachings have been very impactful. One thing that came to me was when Dr. Noel Woodruff brought up the scripture Revelation chapter 8 verse 7 to 12. This stood out to me not only because it shows how precise God is, it also shows how God is slowly wearing away at the planet, making it weaker and weaker so that nothing can prevent the Lord's return. He's also doing this to give us time to be prepared and ready so that when He returns, He will have a nation of people whose heart looks just like His.
Initially, after hearing about rule of engagement number 3 and the extent of God's strategies, I was afraid because I had a fear of being caught in the wrong. However, I have realized that this is where I get to implement a common phrase from Dr. Noel Woodruff where he says, do the next right thing. This statement is so profound because it is linked to all of the rules of engagement. If I do the next right thing every time, then the frequency emitted from my life will eventually be the one that emits from heaven.
As the entire Congress continues to advance aggressively towards the finish, The saints are wholeheartedly committed to ongoing personal transformation and the pursuit of divine will and purpose.
So saints, my precious saints of Congress WBN, stand straight in the spirit, lift up your eyes, gaze forward, gaze forward. Do not be afraid, but be filled with courage and faith and joy, knowing that our great God above has put everything in place, everything that we need. Love your brethren, love your communities, love each other, and let's walk together hand in hand towards the Lord. And in knock number 3, the incense will rise into the atmosphere around the throne of God.
Our scripture of the week comes from James chapter 1 verse 4. Let perseverance finish its work, so that you may be mature and complete, not lacking anything. And that was your Congress news for the week of October 31st, 2021.